Hey guys, in this video I want to show you a really interesting sequence of turns that came up in a game I played several years ago against Quackle's championship player. And the game's only a couple turns in here, only 3 turns, and I've actually jumped out to a massive lead for this early in the game. I've started off with 2 bingos and a huge Z-play, and Quackle's already seemingly in very dire straits here, being down 165 and having a U-less Q, which is never a good thing. Now, Quackle finds an absolutely ingenious idea in this position to try to quickly sneak back into the game. The standard play would probably be to do something like QAT next to DKers over here to score 30 points and get rid of the Q and hopefully try to quickly build back to a bingo rack. But that's pretty uninspiring. Quackle will still be down 150. EOTY isn't a great leave by any stretch of the imagination, and I'll likely just block the R on the bottom and cruise to a pretty easy victory. So Quackle finds this crazy idea instead of actually keeping the Q and playing the move Yo next to Lemonier for 22 points. And this looks really bizarre at first, right? He's keeping a Q and 2 T's without a U. He's only scoring 22 points, and he's blocking the R. So what's he doing here? This seems like a extremely bizarre play, let alone at this score. And the catch is he's actually not blocking the R. He's opening the R for a potentially huge non-bingo triple-triple. And the advantage of this is that blocking, or quote blocking, I should say, the R in this way may desensitize me to the fact that the R is actually still very much open. Since from my perspective, it looks like, okay, he just played Yo next to the R, he's blocking the R, and now I don't have to worry about it. I'm very happy to see that play. And I actually fell for that in this position. I obviously have several high probability bingos here, like Trainee and Detainer and Redene, and I pretty quickly jumped to the conclusion that, okay, Quackle just took care of the R. He blocked my bingo of Retainer, which I was getting ready to slap down from the R. So I'm just gonna bingo and increase my lead to over 200. And this is actually a very grave mistake. And the idea behind Quackle's last move is that his rack with a U, if he draws one of the 3 remaining U's or the 2 blanks, is actually setting himself up for a gigantic non-bingo triple-triple of torque weight through the OR, which will double the Q and get the ×9 from the 2 triple words and score about 250 points. So that'll catapult him right back into this game. Now, what I should actually do in this position is not bingo, but sacrifice a lot of points to block this threat. So a play like Bean, B-E-A-N, from this B would be very much in order here. It still scores 30 points, so it's a big sacrifice from my bingo, but I keep a almost 200-point lead on a board that now doesn't really have any massive threats. And in this position, I made what seems like a clear play, but is actually a grave mistake of bingoing with Aeronite, which, as I explained in the comment here, I should really just be foregoing and playing Bean to block this threat. But it didn't register to me in game that this bottom line was still a threat. So Quackle immediately capitalized on his very, very clever plan and tripled as a non-bingo with torque weight for 243 points, and all of a sudden we have an even game. This would all have been avoided if I played Bean. He would have probably had to play like Quate for about 40 or 50, and I still would have had a comfortable 150-point lead and almost surely coasted to a victory. Now, I did end up winning this game in spectacular fashion in an endgame, which I won't go through in this video, but that's sort of besides the point. The lesson to be learned from this video is actually twofold. One, if you're down, especially that many points, try to make something out of nothing and try to make openings that aren't obvious, right? If you just put one tile right in the middle of a triple lane, that's going to be a very obvious opening that your opponent can address. But by sort of subtly trying to block off an obvious opening and create a maybe even more dangerous but less obvious opening like Quackle did here, you're sort of inducing your opponent to become desensitized to that spot and play elsewhere and possibly leave it open for you to capitalize next turn. So that's sort of the lesson when you're down. Try to create big openings that aren't entirely obvious to your opponent, if you can. Of course, that's very much easier said than done in a lot of cases. And on the flip side, if you're in the position I was in this game and you're winning, be very, very careful of openings that your opponent might be trying to sneak up on you. And in particular, be careful of non-bingo triple triples. They don't happen too often, but they're one of the most overlooked kinds of openings, since one of the first things you learn when you start playing Scrabble is if there's a letter in the middle of the triple triple lane, you want to block it. And sometimes the way you block it is by paralleling that letter, so that there's now 2 or maybe 3 tiles next to each other in that lane. But that actually is sometimes not really effective, especially if it's tiles like OR, which go very well together right in the middle of a triple lane. You definitely need to take that threat very seriously, almost just as much as you would with a single tile, since your opponent could still potentially triple bingo with a 9, or even non-bingo triple for a plenty large score, as Quackle did here. So a very instructive position, a great lesson, and again, thankfully I was still able to win this game, but it turned out to be quite a lot more stressful than it really needed to be. So hope this video was instructive, and hope this will maybe help you steal the occasional game from your opponent when it seems like a hopeless situation, and maybe continue to hold on to games where your opponent may be trying to pull a fast one on you. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one. Bye-bye.